Hello, everybody. How's your energy? Thumbs up for good? Thumbs down for bad? Bit of this? All right, I'm going to shake it up a little bit. So I'm supposed to come on stage and give you a really dramatic entrance and statistic to grab you in. The most dramatic thing that I can think of and the most interesting thing is that I don't have a 7-figure business. Can you give me a cheer for that? Amazing, thank you. Yet. And the important thing to know about that is that I'm only probably a few steps ahead of some of you, which makes me great for teaching you how to get leads. But the other thing is that I want you to know that LinkedIn has single-handedly changed my life. 2 years ago, this did not exist. Sure, I was in here somewhere, but 2 years ago, I didn't have much of a business. And now I have a thriving business, and it's all because LinkedIn changed my life. So LinkedIn is the 17th most visited website in the world, but it stands behind things like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Who's guilty? And this is such a shame, because all of us want to build wealth, right? And LinkedIn has been the easiest thing for me to build wealth from. So I'm going to ask you to be really, really honest. I'm going to ask you to get things off your lap, and I'm going to ask you to stand up. Stand up if LinkedIn looks a bit boring to you, and the content looks a bit rubbish, and you don't know what to post. Stand up if you would rather go on YouTube, Facebook. Anyone rather scroll on Instagram, watch some funny cat videos? Pornhub? Sit down. This is the reality. We tie too much worth to getting leads. But the other reality is that LinkedIn feels uncomfortable because you're just not used to it. It's not the chosen platform. And I want to convince you that it should be. I have never met anyone in the last 2 years that has a lead generation problem. So the great news for all of you is that you don't have a lead generation problem. What you have is a knowledge gap. Some of you are here, some of you are here, and we want to just start building on that knowledge gap. And what you want to do is just start bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be. So that's what we're going to do today. What I realized was that people who buy from me fast and without friction and don't give me a headache, you know, the nightmare clients, they usually come through LinkedIn. I started my business on Instagram, by the way. I am Laura Burton. I'm known as the Brutal Blonde on LinkedIn. And that headline was born out of me getting drunk at a conference like this, and someone dared me to put it in place, and it's never disappeared. Now I have a company called the Brutal Marketing Academy. Amazing what alcohol can do, right? And 2 years ago, that was my following. How many did I have? 1,695. Now I'm fast approaching 26,000. In 2 years, I've got a 4-year-old. I work 3 days a week, and I didn't have to kill myself to do this. But my success is based on the evidence that when I got on LinkedIn, I did 6 figures in sales in 9 months. So this is not your basic training. Has anyone had LinkedIn training before? Show of hands. I'm not going to show you what to put on your profile. We're not going to talk about your banner. I don't care about your about section. None of it. I want to teach you what creates inbound leads, because I can make you an amazing profile probably in minutes. It's not going to make a difference to how you make money. I want to get you into the LinkedIn depth, right? So we're going to go through the secrets to growing a 25K audience, the 6 non-negotiables for unlimited LinkedIn leads, and how to write posts that drive leads, because it's 2025. So I have to mention AI, and I also have to probably show you a QR code at some point. I apologize. It's coming, you guys. Here's what I want you to know first and foremost. Step number 1 is that some of you have an attitude problem. Now, if you know me, I've got an attitude problem. You can probably tell. But your attitude determines your altitude. And what I mean by that, this quote is really, really important to me, by the way. You'll find out why. Your attitude is going to determine whether you're good at getting leads or not. Because I can give you a million frameworks, but if you don't show up and try them, if you don't get on LinkedIn, if you don't stop thinking it's boring, it's not going to work for you. The reason this quote is so meaningful to me is because in my 20s, I was very successful. I was actually a HR director. I've worked for Sony Music, Warhammer. I've covered 56 countries at a time. I was really, really successful, really, really thriving. In my career, I was also chronically suicidal, and I had generalized anxiety disorder. It was so bad I saw a psychiatrist. I've been well roughly for about 4 or 5 years now, and I'll never go back. Thank you. Because of this, and because of my attitude, I was like, I need something to build my resilience. I need something that's going to save my life. I would make jokes in public that said, I don't know if I'm going to make it to 40, to be honest. And everyone would laugh along, go, you're so funny. And I meant it. I needed something to save my life. So I decided to start rock climbing. Now, if any of the women have ever been to a gym and you've been into the women's section, you don't want to exercise in front of the men. Anyone feel like that sometimes? It's just a bit too much. I walked into a climbing center where there's a load of hot men with their shirts off, climbing stuff, and I don't know anything about climbing at all. I felt sick once I threw up when I went into a climbing center. I have cried on the side of rock faces, but my attitude quite literally determined my altitude. Has anyone been to Llanberis Pass? You live there, amazing. So I climbed up the side of Llanberis Pass, and if you ever stand there, you'll be like, that's high. And if you ever go, you will see these little dots, colourful dots. I was one of the colourful dots climbing up the side. That is a look of sheer terror. I laughed my way to the top because I was delirious. However, it was the best experience of my life. It was amazing. Unfortunately, it led to a second experience, but more fortunately, where I found myself in a cave underground, halfway in, that was quickly filling up with water. I guarantee none of you have been in this situation. Anyone? No, I didn't think so. Okay, one. Amazing. It's not good that we've got that in common. And there I am in a cave, hands like this, either side of rock. Water's coming in. It's trickling down the sides. It's muddy and wet. I've been caving for 2 days. I've got hunter wellies on and they're pushed against the rock. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm trying to keep myself up because there is a stream of water underneath me flowing very fast. It started raining outside and I trusted people to take me inside that were not qualified to understand it was not a good idea. I don't know why I'm wearing pigtails and I also don't know why I look like I'm at a tea party on that, but whatever. So I'm in this cave and there's a girl in front of me and she is not a climber. She is not very strong and she's doing this for the first time and she is freaking out. And I'm strong and I'm struggling. I'm like really pushing. And when I say I'm strong, one of my favorite pastimes in my 20s was I'd go out on a Saturday night and have a few. And if a man dared to try and chat me up, I would challenge him to an arm wrestle. Sometimes I would win. If you don't know anything about caving, the dangerous thing about caving is not what you're doing inside. You can hold yourself, you can climb, it's fine. The dangerous thing is the amount of time it takes for emergency services to rescue you if you break something and you can't get yourself out. So I knew I was in a really dangerous situation and I had one thought and one thought only. What I should have been thinking was, Laura, this is quite dangerous. You need to get this girl out. This needs to move. How do we motivate her? And instead, all I could think to myself was, don't be the one to fall. Don't be the embarrassment. Don't be the one that has to shout to the guys when you've been swept into the cave. Don't be the failure in this group. And that is ridiculous. So I realized 3 things in that year. The first thing is, if a man is interested in you and you beat him in an arm wrestle in front of his mates, he is no longer interested. Their loss. The second thing is that your attitude determines your altitude. I was experiencing some amazing things in life that other people don't. And the third thing that was just mental to me is that my ego is a lunatic, right? I should have been scared of death and I was like, don't you fail, don't you fall. Don't you be the disappointment. And so, what you're scared of on LinkedIn, hands up if you're scared of sharing an opinion in case you are trolled and people disagree. Hands up if you're scared of being seen, if you're scared of going on video, if you're scared of some big CEO that you used to work with seeing what you're up to with your new business. Few of those. What you're scared of on LinkedIn is not going to kill you. This could have killed me. So we have to get past the ego. Because if you are running away from LinkedIn or ignoring its power, you're going in the wrong direction. I categorically know that to be true. But also, you're being told things about LinkedIn that are not true. And I want to bust some of the myths and tell you some truths about that. So myth number 1, how many of you think posting daily is probably the right way to go? Does anyone see a lot of content where it's like, you got to post every day, you got to be consistent, and it feels exhausting? It's bollocks. One of my clients got 4 inquiries in a week and I could not get her to post every day. I was like, if you post every day, you'll just get seen by more people. And she didn't, and she has a thriving business. How many people feel like life would be easier if you just had more followers? If you can't convert 300 people, which I did at the start of my business on Instagram, you probably can't convert 10,000. And one of my clients came to me with less than 2,000 followers and she sells 5K masterclasses for an hour. I've never sold a 5K masterclass for an hour. Not at that point in my journey. How many of you don't know what to write? How many of you are at writing? Anyone? And LinkedIn's a writing platform. This is Nick. She got her first inbound lead on May the 2nd. We're celebrating her this month. No writing experience, just use the framework. And how many of you are ashamed of how you look online? How many of you feel like you need a website? LinkedIn's a website, by the way. You don't need any of that. This is Amber. Amber's in the room. She's over there and she hates me right now. She's a walking testimonial. She had on her banner, I spent 2 hours on Canva for this. And 6 months ago, she was employed. And now she's selling for me on my stand. I love her. She's amazing. Round of applause for Amber. She got out of employment. She's so cool. And she also writes for people on LinkedIn now. She's that good. She gets other people leads. So you don't need all of this stuff that people are telling you. LinkedIn is set up to help you. You just need to know how to do it. And every person in this room could have tens of thousands of followers by this time next year if you let go of your ego and follow the next framework. Now, I apologize so much, but there it is. What I'm going to show you is some AI prompts. I'm going to give you a custom GPT. I'm going to give you a LinkedIn guide. It's going to teach you some of the basics. And I'm going to invite everyone here to a conversion class as well. And what I mean by that is I'm going to teach you the one piece of content that you can create that gets you lots of leads instantly. There's going to be no pitch, no story, just me showing you how I teach. The 6 steps, right? Ego's number 1. Number 2, if you are asking yourself, what time do I post at? Stop. You're asking the wrong question. 7 a.m., done. Post at 7 a.m. every day and stop asking the question. The real question you need to ask yourself is, what am I actually posting and in what order am I posting it? So my success usually comes in this process. So the first thing I do is I create growth content. It's content that says, I nearly died in a cave. I still like to go to Ibiza, even though I'm 36. Someone had a jab at me about that yesterday. It says I have really high values in honesty, integrity, and a love of learning. It says I've got 3 first-class degrees. It says I'm a mom, and I struggle with that sometimes. And I shut my mouth and I don't sell anything during that process. All I do is share about me and why you might like me or might not. There's some of you in this room who already don't like me, and that's cool. But I'm trying to find out who does like me so they can follow me. And then when I've done this, I go into this structure. So all I do next is I start talking about the problem that all of you had, a lack of leads, let's say. And I start talking about what the solution to the problem might be like. I talk about the objection content, why you might be scared to work with me. And then I start selling and I don't shut up and I'm relentless. And every single post is like, buy my this is good. And I do not stop. And I know some of you put one post out that's salesy and then you run away. Does anyone run away? Why? Stop running. No one's going to buy if you run. So this structure allows you to grow your audience with ideal clients from being yourself and then follow a sales process. And there's a lot more depth to this, but this is what you need to be concerned about, taking them through a psychological process of problem, solution, objection, and sales content. The next thing I'm going to show you is very basic, but every client I have says it's really powerful. So this is an AI prompt. Don't worry about taking pictures. I will WhatsApp this to you. And all we're going to ask is for AI to create a table for us. We're going to give it some information about us, and we're also going to ask it to create this table that has problems in it, and it answers some of these questions. Now, these questions are good because I wrote them, and these are what I would ask if I was trying to understand your client as a marketer. Who are we selling to? How do they feel? How are they behaving negatively? What do they actually want? What does life look like in the future? And what this is going to do is it's going to bring up a really sexy table like this. Don't take a picture of this. You don't want this. And I want to show you that this works for any niche. So this is my fella's niche. I met my fella at a clinical trials company. He's got a pharmaceutical consultancy. He's very successful. And when we get in bed at night and we take our clothes off and we turn the lights down and our heads hit the pillow, he's always like, babe. And I'm like, what does he want? And he says, it's midnight, by the way. Can you just check my LinkedIn post? Due to go out at 7 o'clock in the morning. Sexy, right? Bet you wish you were a fly on the wall in my household. And the only reason that I can check those things is because I helped him create this. I understand the niche. I understand the technicality, and I also understand where we're taking the client to. So when you have this table, all you're going to do is you're going to create a post from this, and you're going to move from heading 1 to heading 10. And it would look like this. I'm not going to read it out. It's boring. I love him, honestly. But if you're in a scientific company, which I used to be, and you just used each of those headings, that's what it would throw out. And this would resonate. This would resonate. It's not going to get you loads of likes. It's not going to get the masses to follow you. But that one department head that is really struggling with the CEO that's like, we're not making enough money, you're spending too much, we need to cut it out, that's going to resonate. That enables you to create conversion content. And I am under no illusion that this is not the best copywriting. It's not exciting, but I would still use it. And my clients do, and they get leads because a lot of people in this room, they don't have copywriting knowledge yet. So this is your base point. This is where we start. Now, let's move on from the pillar talk. I ran this one as well, which is what you're struggling with. This is a lack of leads, a lack of brand awareness. And I'm going to do the same thing, but instead of moving from heading 1 to 10, I'm just going to start pulling things out of that table on the same row. And that's going to come up with this. If you're frustrated because you spent 4 hours on one post again, you're all guilty of this, and you're overwhelmed because you spent hours on LinkedIn and never get leads, it's probably because you're trying random tactics you've seen online or at an event when you know deep down you need an actual marketing strategy. And it takes you through the process of this table of what people need to see to resonate, to feel that resonation, if that's a word. And all I do with this is I make it a little bit better. So I pull out scenarios that you tell me about, that you tell me you're struggling with. I add in language from you. I want to reach clients that can pay me. How many of you are sick and dealing with clients that are like, I can't afford it? And then I add in my data and my credibility. And they're just 3 things that I teach my clients to do, but it changes the post slightly. And then they come to me and they're like, that post that you told me to put out, it didn't get any likes. Did you get any leads? Yes. Okay, then. I know what you want me to say. That's what I'm here for. This is a really simple way to start writing in a way on LinkedIn that actually connects with the ideal clients that you have brought into your audience. But we don't stop there. This second prompt, which again I will send to you, this is neuromarketing. This is going to get into the depths of what might push them over the edge to buy from you. How do we activate their neurons in their brain? How do we talk about the reward that they're going to get in the future? Things like, what future pain can I amplify to make them act now? And so we pair the problems and solutions table with neuromarketing, and it's going to make you do things like this. So if I run this for you guys, it's going to tell me that your subconscious fear is investing time and money into something that doesn't work. You are scared that if you hand me your money, despite the 100% success rate, it won't work for you, that you will be the failure and you will be in loss. Which means that I go to LinkedIn and I go, I know you're scared. Amber, were you scared? She was scared. It's also going to tell me that social proof that mirrors their situation triggers neurons in the brain. If you're in a 9 to 5 and you're trying to get out, Amber's testimonial is going to trigger your brain and you're going to go, oh, I'm like her and she helped her. And so this could work for me. It's also going to tell me to highlight the small specific wins from working with me to trigger dopamine. I'm not going to go on LinkedIn and go, I can help you increase your sales. I can help you increase your sales. I can help you increase your sales, because it's boring. What I'm going to say is, have you ever logged into LinkedIn and saw that little dot in the corner, and instead of it being a message from some random person going, thanks for connecting, I think we should have a catch up, shouldn't we? It's going to say something like, your content's great, come on a podcast. It's going to say something like, what are your prices? I want to work with you. So I'm sharing the small wins instead of this big promise, which we must share too, to trigger their brain. We're using this in unison together. However, these posts are not going to go anywhere if you don't learn how to grab attention. Rather than teaching you about hooks, which everyone knows what a hook is, right? It's the first line of a post. It's what you see on a video. I created a custom GPT. You can get it in the resource pack. You click on it, say hi. It's going to ask you some questions, and you can upload your problems and solutions table. You can upload your neuroscience and neuromarketing tables. You can upload your offer, and it's going to start to create these attention grabbing hooks for you. My clients have been testing this the last 2 weeks, and they rated it about between a 7 and 9 out of 10. I'm cool with that, but I'll make it better. However, if you grab attention and you put out these conversion posts, no one's going to do anything with them if your CTA doesn't have a benefit, your call to action doesn't have a benefit. And I know some of the biggest players in the industries and the biggest influencers are still guilty of this. They put things like this at the end of their posts. The problem with this is your brain loves novelty. The reason I said Pornhub at the start of this talk was because it interrupted all of you. You were like, what's she coming with next? There's nothing more, don't worry. But I wanted to interrupt you in this room, because when you start saying the same thing as everyone else, no one will listen. 74% of your audience distrust content that is generic or uses buzzwords, and these are now buzzwords. If you were in a relationship with LinkedIn, it would say, it's not me, it's you. Hands up if you are guilty of boring your audience. There are not enough hands up. I know for sure. So we have to follow a structure, drop our ego and start to get visible. We have to talk about the problem, the solution. We have to use neuromarketing now. We've got to grab attention. We've got to ask them to do something which is conversational and shows a benefit, which means that all of this work that you've done up front doesn't go to waste. Because if someone has to message you and say, look, I don't know how to work with you. What are your prices? What do I do? They're less likely to, because there's too much effort involved. We are lazy as consumers unless we really want something. But I know what you all want is to know how to get followers, right? Everyone just wants some followers. Here's the truth about how I grew to 26,000 followers. If you want to grow on LinkedIn, you have got to stand for something. I stand for honesty, brutal honesty. If I love you, if I respect you, I will be very, very honest. And it means I'm comfortable. It means I really like you. It means we're probably quite close and good friends, or could be. If I'm silent, there's a problem. But I stand for something. I talk about being a mum in business. I talk about the fact I don't have a 7-figure business yet. I'm not going to lie about that. I will have. You will watch me on a bigger stage one day. I know that. And I will share my journey with people. Opinions are lethal on LinkedIn. And I know a lot of you are scared of being trolled. I've been trolled. I've been called a on LinkedIn once. I logged out for 4 days from some random guy. It didn't even matter. But that post got me 700 followers in a day, mostly women who were mums who like to go to a party in Ibiza and leave their son at home. Your opinions are lethal. But also, humor leaves an impression. 91% of people prefer a brand that's funny. You all have a sense of humor. You all have personality. And you have to start using it. So if you don't know what to post, start with the words I feel, and then tell people how you feel. Start with the words I think. Think about the one thing that you wouldn't dare say to someone you didn't know. Share that, as long as it's appropriate and respectful. What I did was, on Sunday night, I analyzed my top 20 posts, especially for you, just to see what was driving my growth over the last year. And all 20 posts were positive or neutral in sentiment. None of my negative posts, none of my negative opinions, none of my ranting and moaning didn't make it. All of the posts were positive. They were short. They were usually about 6 or 7 lines, and they also had some kind of list in them. LinkedIn loves a list for some reason. But the real thing that grows an account, it's you, and it's you showing up exactly as you are. The version of you that would show up in a bar, the version of you that was having a drink last night and laughing. That's the version of you that it wants to see. That's how you grow. And it will create sales if you pair it with a really good sales technique. I promise you. We have to start being more us, and people will rally beside you. I've got 26,000 followers. I can't believe it. I never expected it, but I was going to go after it. And I'll leave you with this. Everyone stand up if your business is sometimes so hard that it feels like it's killing you. Anyone feel like it's killing you? Feel hard? Anyone cry over your business? Anyone moan at your partner over your business? Anyone having arguments about your business? Your business is brutal, but your marketing doesn't have to be. You're welcome, guys.